Vooch, we had Markel on earlier this season, and we talked a little bit about you and how, I don't know that I want to call you underrated, but definitely under the radar. And I think for a lot of NBA fans, you don't generate the same buzz as players of your caliber. And I certainly don't mean that as a knock. You're a two-time All-Star. I was looking it up today. You're top 20 this year in win shares. You're top 15 in player efficiency rating. Why do you think, given what you've accomplished so far in your career and done it for so long, that you still fly a little bit under the radar?
I think there are a couple of reasons. First, my game isn't, necessarily, flashy, highlight reel type of game. Also, I think, we haven't, until Cliff came, we hadn't made the playoffs in so long, and we're one of the worst teams each year in the NBA. So, even though you play well and you do things, there's always kind of a knock, but they're losing, so does it really matter? And then we weren't on national TV, and so for a lot of people, they don't really follow Orlando Magic. They follow some of the bigger teams with superstars, and we didn't have any superstars as well. So you add up all those things, it was for the fans that are now real fans that are not locked in to follow just every team all the time. They might not know maybe, but honestly, to me, I think also the mainstream media. A lot of it today, they go off the hype and they go off, they follow the main guys and the main things, and you can just see it the way when you're on Twitter, when you're on things, you see what they put out there. But honestly, when I was younger, it bothered me because I always felt like I was just as good as some other guys that get more praise than me. But over the years, I figured out that people in the NBA do know how good I am, and players, coaches, and stuff like that. And I realized that that's really what matters to me. Then you see it when I play, how to defend me, how to approach games when they play against me, talking to other coaches, other players. And then I think also what helped me is I think when I made my first All-Star, I finally kind of got that recognition from them as well officially. So that kind of helped me put that behind me. So it is what it is. I think a lot of players throughout history, it happens to them, but it is what it is. It used to bother me. Now not as much really. I try to not pay attention to it as much. But it keeps coming up, especially this year has had a big year. People keep asking me about it, but other than that, I wouldn't think about it too much.
It's hard not to get discouraged at times by the casuals. That's the Twitter name for the fans who think they're NBA fans, but they're not willing to actually watch all the games and read all the stats and figure out the discourse and the narratives and so if you're a guy that the mainstream media, and I'm not knocking the media, but I've played with a bunch of guys that have been anointed by the mainstream media, and they get the attention, and there's a curse that comes with that as well. It's not all fun. There's some expectations, and there's always going to be backlash if you don't perform to a certain level.